हरि ओम। वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। गुरु ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुदेवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। Namaste friends. Just 2 days from now is Deepavali, the festival of lights. Param Vedanta wishes all of you a very happy Deepavali. May this festival bring prosperity and the light of knowledge to all of us and brighten our lives to take us to that ultimate Dhamma of Lord Vasudeva, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. That also reminds me of Santa Ramatirtha, who lived for only 33 years from 1873 to 1906, but has given the essence of Advaita Vedanta in a most simplified form so that a layman can understand it. Ramatirtha was born on Deepavali day and left this world on the very Deepavali day. Let us remember and offer our Sashtanga pranams to this Mahatma and with his blessings continue our spiritual journey. Friends, we are back again with a new session, new topic, but with the same zeal and vigor to share this wonderful ancient wisdom which gives us the mental, spiritual strength to live in this world, the awareness that this world is nothing but mithya and has to play our role as we enact the character in a drama with all sincerity but not to be taken seriously. It's only with your enthusiastic participation and involvement that we have been able to browse through many topics like Bhajagovindam, Kaivalya Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad, Kena Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad, and of course Bhagavad Gita more than once. Last week, we concluded study of that wonderful topic, Tripti Deepa, the seventh chapter of Panchadashi, the powerful Vedantic text authored by the great warrior saint Swami Vidyaranya. Today, we are going to start another beautiful journey through Kathopanishad with Nachiketa, son of sage Vajasravas, and who is the embodiment of righteousness, an ideal student, and a Tivra Mumukshu, the one who could never be tempted with everything that a human being can dream, offered by none other than Yamadharmaraja. We will get into the depth of this great Upanishad from Krishna Yajurveda as we follow the conversation between Nachiketa and Yamadharmaraja, which evolves to a discussion of nature of man, knowledge, Atman, self, and moksha, liberation. The Upanishad consists of 2 chapters of 3 valleys each. With this short introduction, let's begin our study as our speakers of the day, Srimati Chetana, who will introduce us to the Shanti mantra, Sahana Vavatu, and other 4 speakers, Srimati Indumati, Srimati Sukanya, Srimati Neeta, and Dr. Asha Naik, who will take us through the first 4 Upanishad mantras. Before they start, let us listen to our Dr. Hegde sir, who will give us a brief introduction to this session, the new series, and the Upanishad. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Sri Venkatesh Prasad. Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om. After completing the very fulfilling Tripti Deepa Panchadashi chapter 7, we start on a new Upanishad, Kathopanishad, and we'll begin by seeing what is the greatness of this Upanishad. This Upanishad is also called Kathopanishad, and somebody has described, and Kataka comes from the 12 petals of the Hridaya Kamala. Ka-tuta, ka-ka-ga-ga-na, cha-cha-ja-ja-na, ta-ta. Ka-tuta is Kathoka Upanishad. What is unique about this is that the Acharya is none other than Yamadharmaraja. Normally, Yamadharmaraja is seen in a negative context, the harbinger of death, somebody who is feared, somebody who looks very fearsome, someone who has to be avoided. But throughout our classes, our teacher is going to be Yamadharmaraja, the embodiment of Dharma. And we see him as Brahma Vidya Acharya. Those of us students of Brahma Vidya have been trained to see the highest respects we have is for an Acharya of Brahma Vidya. And now we need to see Yamadharmaraja as Brahma Vidya Acharya, which means whatever Yamadharmaraja does is based on Dharma, and therefore death is something that I'm not going to be afraid of. In each of these classes, we have 119 mantras to study, but in each of these classes, our proximity to Yamadharmaraja should be such that it is said, for a spiritually wise person, death comes dancing, which means I don't see death as something negative, but at the same time, I'm able to understand the whole context of death. The other greatness of Kathopanishad is that most of the Gita verses, we say Sarvopanishado Gavu Dogda Gopala Nandana. Most of the verses from, if you can see all the Upanishadic verses, maximum Sri Krishna has taken from the Kathopanishad. Sri Tapovan Maharaj, in his introduction to the Upanishad, has something nice to say about Kathopanishad. He says it is perhaps the clearest of all the 10 Upanishads. It makes the essentials of Brahma Vidya very clear and very simple and does not complicate. It goes on adding color after color in its description of the pure Atma, the only reality. As already mentioned by Venkatesh Prasad, it has 119 mantras divided into 2 chapters. Each of them are 3 vallis. Valli means a creeper. And each of these mantras are like flowers on these creepers. It comes from the Krishna Yajurveda, and it is part of the Dashopanishad. This Upanishad also has a Shanti Pata, the very popular Om Sahana Bhavatu. Very briefly, let us see what each of these vallis are. I will focus only on the first chapter today. The first valli of the first chapter has got 29 mantras. The first is a very nice story introducing Nachiketa and Yamadharmaraja. And then we come to the 3 boons, and then the examination part to see whether the student is a fit candidate for Brahma Vidya. In the course of the story, few things are emphasized. We need to be able to pick this up. As the importance of the faith in the Vedas and in the rituals, in keeping one's promise, in Atiti Seva. The word Atiti means, Titi means time. Atiti means one who has not told you at what time he's coming. Without prior intimation, he has come. And with how much reverence and Atiti has to be taken care of. We also see the greatness of Yamadharmaraja, his humility, and his dharma. One of the important things in our life, if you want to set goals, is to know what are the 3 rinas that we have in our lives. And this comes through the discussion as Pitrarina, Lokarina, and Acharya Rina, which are the 3 boons that Nachiketa asks from Yamadharmaraja in return for having been kept waiting for 3 days. But before Yamadharmaraja offers the most difficult of them, that is Brahma Vidya, the 3rd boon, he wants to see if the candidate, Nachiketa, has got the basic qualifications, which we know as the 4 Ds: discrimination, dispassion, desire, and discipline, which in Sanskrit is known as Viveka, Vairagya, Mumukshutvam, particularly Tivra Mumukshutvam, and Shama Adi Shakta Sampatti. We go to the second valli. Again, 25 mantras. Here we see something very important. The greatness of the teacher, the greatness of the student, which is actually our greatness, and the greatness of the Upanishad itself. A description about what is Atma. Atma is what Swamiji calls as consciousness. not a part, product, property of the body. So whatever Swamiji talks about Atma is consciousness. What are the qualifications required are also brought out in Valli number 2. Little more details about this. What is the glory of a Brahma Vidya Acharya, or what is the greatness of Yamadharmaraja here? Yamadharmaraja is able to teach Nachiketa, and in the process able to teach all of us about something which is not an object. It is easy to teach any object, very difficult to teach the very subject in all of us. And that is the skill in the teaching of Brahma Vidya. What is the glory of the student? That means, what is our glory? Why have we left all the other pursuits and have come here? Because such a person who has come to Brahma Vidya is among the rarest of the rare. Shri Krishna in the 7th chapter talks, Manushyanam Sahasreshu Kaschid Yatati Siddhai. Very few people leave the world of all Vishaya and all the attractions of the world. That is what is called Preya, and come to Shreya. The Upanishads or the Shastras are extremely rare. Yamadharmaraja also tells that in addition to those 4 Ds, you need to have ethical and moral values. We need to be an integrated person, as described in the 3rd Valli in the most beautiful Ratha Kalpana. So essentially, this is the 1st chapter, where we learn to know what is all aspects about Atma and how this is taught to us very nicely through Panchakosha Viveka. Every Upanishad will introduce what is called Prakriya, and the Prakriya that is focused here is Panchakosha Viveka, from the gross to the subtle, and finally to Nirguna Brahma, which is described as Ashabdam, Asparsham, and so on. Towards the end of the 1st chapter, Sri Yamadharmaraja, our teacher, will say, this 1st chapter, O Nachiketa, that I have taught you, is something should be chanted like a Parayanam on the occasions of Shraddha ceremony. With that background, this is a glorious Upanishad to study. We are extremely fortunate to be able to study this Upanishad, and we will begin with the Shanti Pata. Chetana, please.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Sahana Vavatu, Sahanau Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahai, Tejasvi Nau Aditham Mastu, Ma Vid Vishavahai, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So this is the Shanti Pata for Kathopanishad. And since it belongs to Krishna Yajurveda, it is the Shanti Pata for Taittiriya Upanishad also. So the prayer begins with the line Om Sahanau Avatu, which means may the Lord protect and bless both of us. Who's the both of us? That is the teacher and the student. Sahanau Bhunaktu, may he nourish both of us. How? Here the nourishment is in the form of knowledge. So the first 2 lines talk about Ishvara Anugraha, that is seeking the Lord's grace. Sahaviryam Karavavahai, whatever is required to gain this knowledge, may we make an effort for that. How? On the part of the student, he should have Shraddha, commitment, retention, and recollection of the knowledge imparted. And on the part of the teacher, he should have commitment, time, patience, compassion, and the ability to communicate this teaching. So this line therefore talks about prayatna or self-effort. Tejasvi now adhitam astu. Let us both be illumined by this study. Let the understanding not be vague, but be brilliant and shine forth. So this knowledge is not a matter for inference. It is about me as the subject and has to be understood very clearly. Therefore, let what is studied be brilliantly clear, free from any errors. So here this line talks about Medha Shakti. Ma vid vishavahai. May we not be subject to any misunderstanding and dislike. Let nothing come between us, between the student and the teacher, so that this communication is complete. It is talking about having a harmonious relationship between the teacher and the student. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So this, we chant Shanti 3 times, not because there are 3 types of Shanti, but there are 3 types of obstacles that can deny Shanti. So let there be freedom from those problems. And what are the obstacles? Adi Daivika. So the problems that not arise from forces over which we have no control, or from all beings around us, Adi Bhautika, or from factors within ourselves, Adhyatmika. Now, according to Puja Swamiji, through this Shanti Pata, the student is asking for 4 boons from the Lord. What are they? First, he's asking for Jnana Prapti. May the Lord protect us by giving knowledge. Second boon is Jnana Nishta. May the Lord bless me with the ability to assimilate this knowledge in order to transform my life. Then Prayatna. May I be able to put forth the necessary effort in order to achieve moksha. And finally, he asks for Shraddha. May I have faith in my teacher. Thus, I pray that all the 3 capacities, physical, physiological, and mental, be available to me in a manner that is conducive to my pursuit of this knowledge. And in chanting these 3 Shantis, I pray for freedom from these 3 possible obstructions. Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chaitanya, for a nice introduction of a very popular Shanti Pata. This is perhaps one of the only prayers done, or a prayer very relevant when there is a master and the student sitting together. And because of the word Bunaktu, which means to relish, it is also one of the prayers that we say before we have food. Swami Paramarthananda, in one of his commentaries, he said, this prayer gives us jnanam, it gives us jivan mukti, it asks for prayatna and for shraddha. And I have heard the explanation of this prayer, and I looked up and down, and I could not decipher where is all these 2, particularly where is jnanam and jnana mukti, jivan mukti. Now, the first line says, Om Sahana Bhavatu, protect us. Now, Swamiji brings us to the awareness. What understanding will see that you don't need any protection? As long as I identify with my body-mind complex, I am a limited being and I need protection. But when I disidentify with my body-mind complex and identify with the Atma Tattva, I am beyond any form of danger, and there is therefore no need for any form of protection. The highest form of protection, therefore, is jnanam. And so this prayer asks for jnanam in the form of there is no need for protection. Second is the word bunaktu is seen as a person who is able to celebrate jnanam. How do you celebrate jnanam? By living like a free person. While I'm in this body, while I go through the limitations, I experience freedom in spite of limitations, and this is called Jivan Mukti. Prayatna and Shraddha are evident, and therefore, this is a very lovely Shanti Pata to remember, and let us chant this in all our classes. Indumati will tell us about the opening verse. Induji, please.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. This is an Upanishad, being the part of the Vedas, which are the special truths revealed to the Rishis. This was a very huge mass of literature, which was difficult to handle. So, a Rishi by name, Krishna Dvaipayana, divided the Vedas into 4 parts. This particular Upanishad belongs to Yajurveda, which is further divided into Krishna Yajurveda and Shukla Yajurveda. This belongs to Krishna Yajurveda. Altogether, this has 119 mantras. If the Shanti mantra Sahana Bhavatu is included here, then it becomes 120 mantras. This is a brief background of this Upanishad. The mantra goes like this. Om Ushan Havai Vajashravasah Sarva Vedasam Dadau Tasya Nachiketa Nama Putra Asa. Ushan Havai, desiring heaven in very ancient times. Vajashravasa, Vajashravasa, a Vaidika Brahmana named Vajashravasa, Dadau gave away Sarva Vedasam, all his wealth in Vishwajit Yagna. Tasya ha asa, he had a putra, a son, Nama, named Nachiketa. Nachiketa. Vaja means annam, food and also material possessions. Shravaha means the fame gained by giving charity to the poor and the deserving. Desiring heaven, Vajashravasa gave away all his wealth in Vishwajit Yagna. He had a son named Nachiketa. The next slide. This Upanishad is introducing a Vaidika Brahmana named Vajashravasa. He was the son of Vajashrava. This name indicates that he was a follower of Vedic tradition, which prepares the mind for understanding Vedanta. Vajashravasa performed numerous yagnas like Panchamahayagna and other important yagnas. This religious life involves sharing of wealth with others, which indicates that he is the one who is famous in society for Annadanam. Next, we see that his charity included, his father was also a very well-known for its dhanam, such as land, gold, food, clothing, etc., are all part of the yagnas. Once he performed a very big yagna called Vishwajit Yagna. It was a unique sacrifice where the performer gives everything he possesses, including the house he lived in, to the charity. It is as good as taking up sannyasa ashrama. In the Vedic tradition, all the sadhanas, that is, religious rites, can be performed in two different ways. Sakama, perform the religious rites for punya, with which one targets better material enjoyment like money, children, house, name, fame, etc. in this life and the next. When all the punyas are exhausted, the person returns to the earth, that is Manushya Loka. This is material punya. Nishkama is perform the religious rites for spiritual punya targeted for the purification of the mind, that is Chitta Shuddhi, and the eligibility to pursue self-knowledge, Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti. With this spiritual punya, one gets a good guru and the ability to absorb the scriptures, that is Jnana Yoga. Moksha is ultimately targeted. Next, Nachiketa's father, Vajashravasa, who was a Vedic Brahmana, had a desire of going to heaven, that is, reaching God. The final part of the Vedic yagna is Dakshina. The fee is given to the priest for services without the latter asking for it. It is an integral part of the sacrifice. The sacrifice is complete only when the Dakshina is given. Without Dakshina, the performer will not receive the benefit of the sacrifice and the yagna becomes a tamasic yagna. Shri Krishna defines it in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 17, shloka 13. Vidihinam asrushtanam, mantrahinam adakshinam, shraddha virahitam yagnam, tamasam parichakshate. Thus, Nachiketa watches his father distribute the dakshina to the priest and makes his observation in the following verses further. Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Induji, for giving us a very nice introduction to this Upanishad by giving us the background of the big yaga that is going to happen right now. More we'll hear from Sukanya. Sukanya, please.
Hari Om, sir. Upanishads are the source of self-knowledge. Kathopanishad belongs to Krishna Yajurveda Shakha. Among the two schools, Krishna and the Shukla, it belongs to Krishna Yajurveda. It contains 2 adhyayas, each having 3 vallis, a total of 6 vallis and 119 verses. It's in the form of a dialogue, samvada, a flow of knowledge from the higher to the lower, dialogue between the student Nachiketas and the Brahmavidya Acharya, who was none other than Yamaraja, the Lord of Death. The initial part of the Upanishad is illustrated in the form of a story wherein the little boy Nachiketas, through his exemplary respect and devotion to his father, attained faith in the ritualistic part of the karmas and later attained Agni Vidya and Brahma Vidya through Lord Yamaraja. Through this knowledge, he taught the world how to transcend the fear of death, a step towards liberation. The first few verses are introductory. Actual Vedanta begins from the second valli, verse 11. The initial illustration story covers 4 topics: glory of self-knowledge, importance of a guru in seeking this knowledge, qualifications of such a guru, Shrutriya Brahmanishta, who is eligible for teaching, and finally, qualifications of a student also who has moral values to take up spiritual study. Verse goes like this. Tam hakumaragam santam dakshinasu niyamanasu shraddha vivesha so manyataha. Him, though young, faith possessed, when rewards were being distributed, he thought thus. The story goes like this. There was a Vedic Brahmana Vajashravas, a serious follower of Vedic traditions. His name itself is indicated. Vaj means Anna. Shravas means one who gains popularity, one who is famous for Annadana. In Sanskrit, it is Nimittam Shrava Kirti Yasya Saha Vajashravas. Performing Vedic rituals, Panchayagnas, was the lifestyle of Vajashravas. Performing yagnas requires a lot of charity to be given to the priests who perform the rituals, which is called dakshina. Giving dakshinas to the priests as charity in the form of food, land, gold, cows is an integral part of the yagna. Vajashravas was performing a big yagna called Vishvajit Yagna, in which a unique sacrifice of everything that he possessed was to be given as dakshina. Sarva Vedasau Dadau. Vedic rituals, Karmakanda, is the groundwork required for purity of mind for understanding Vedic teaching. Veda Purva is the foundation for Veda Anta. These religious practices could be performed for 2 reasons, either for material, worldly benefits, that is Sakama, or for spiritual benefits such as Chitta Suddhi, to get Viveka, Vairagya, which is a prerequisite for Vedic studies. This is Nishkama. Vajashravas Yagna was for attaining heavenly pleasure, that is Sakama Karma. Giving appropriate sacrificial dakshinas is an integral part without which the yagna is not considered complete. This is reiterated in Bhagavad Gita chapter 17 also. Vidihinam srishtannam mantrahinam adakshinam shraddhavirahitam yagnam tamasam parichakshate. Exposure to Veda Purva Bhaga gives faith in Veda Anta. Taham Kumaragam means Nachiketas was less than 10 years old when he was initiated into Brahmacharya. He had seen his father perform a lot of yagnas, which was his way of life. Growing up in such a Vedic atmosphere, Nachiketa was well informed of the Vedic rituals and also the strict adherence to the rituals as per Shastras. He was also aware lack of adherence to the disciplines would result in not only not getting the phalam, on the contrary, would result in prayashchita karma as remedial measures. For kala atita dosha, scriptures suggest kala atita prayashchita. For sakama karma, observing rituals strictly as prescribed is very important. On the other hand, any discipline followed for inner growth is fine, even if there is an omission, if it's not intentional. Vajashravas was performing the Vishvadit Yagna for attaining heavenly benefits. So, this yajna required strict performance of rituals, including giving away appropriate dakshinas to the priests. Little boy Nachiketas, with a grown up wisdom, was observing the way cows in the form of dakshinas were being distributed. He saw his father keeping for himself the good ones and giving away the not so good ones, cows, as dakshinas. He was thinking as to what will happen to his father's wish, seeking heaven, because the dakshinas were not appropriate. His thought process about his father's wish is explained in the next verse. Hari Om, sir.
Thank you very much, Sukanya, for a nice explanation of this verse. The story and the context continues. Dr. Asha Naik, please.
Om Gurubhyo Namaha, Jai Gurudev. This mantra or a stanza is an example of masterly poetry and brings forth a song of a soul. The words gives clear meaning describing 4 adjectives describing cows were given away as a present. This picture gives to reader clear picture how the sad lot was. Verse goes like this. Pitodaka Jagdatruna Dugda Doha Nirindreya Ananda Namate Lokaha Tan Sagachati Tadadat. Next slide, sir. So the word meaning is pitodaka. Pitodaka means drinking water last time. Here this means cow and drinking water. That is what we have to understand. Jagtruna. Truna means grass. He has eaten grass last time because he is very weak. Dugda doha, which has given last drop of milk because it is old. Nirindraya, non-productive, barren because it is old again. Te loka, that is 3 words, Swargaloka, Pataloka, etc. Na Ananda. Ananda means joy. Ananda means joyless. Dadatta means giving such cows. Sagachati, one who goes away. Tan, to those worlds only. So the last slide, they have spoken about Shraddha, and this Shraddha is, it is the thing, sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, and Nachiket has the Shraddha in Shraddha sadhana. So to get this quality is very important for a self-knowledge which already Nachiketa has. And Shraddha in Vedic teaching is very, very important. In Brihadaranya Upanishada, Janaka repeatedly promises to give away the cows as dakshina. Soham bhagavate sahasra dadamatya urdhvam mimohaya bhruvati. So next slide, sir. So Nachitiketa happens to see these stages of these cows. Next slide, sir. Previous slide, sir. And to his utter dismay, he found these cows are not at all in good condition and no benefit to who has. In fact, the person who gets, he'll have to spend money to protect them from the slaughter. So he thinks this is not a proper way, Dakshina, and this is his way of thinking, righteous way of thinking. Also, he has a knowledge of a yajna and Dakshina, etc. Now the words pitodaya and jadakrina are adjectives. So here, these cows are so feeble that they cannot bite or they cannot drink. It is like example in a CCU, when the patient is so weak, you give tube feeding or IV fluids just because they can't normally eat. So the word is like pitam udaka yabhita, pitodaka. Jagda Bhakshita Trina Yabhita is Jagdatrina. These are joint of 2 words. So it is called Bahuvivi Samasa. Samasa means joint of 2 words. Nirindraya. Nirindraya is reproductive faculty is gone. Here India word is meaning as a Prajanan Shakti. Janana means Janma. Prajanan means giving birth. Shakti means power. So this cannot give a birth to another one. Tugda Deva, last drop also cannot be given because of his old age. When Nachiketa gets highly disturbed looking at this, and he feels this yajna will go deficient because this things if he gives his father will not go to Swargaloka. he'll only reach Narakaloka. Again, through the process of thinking, he thinks, what will happen now? Ta dadat ananda namate loka, tanasa yajamana gachati, dukkha lokan, naraka lokan, adho lokan prapnavati. Therefore, he started, what should I do? And he started thinking. Next slide, sir. So from this, we learn is that we have to learn, you have to have Shraddha in the scriptures. And knowing Yajna, Dakshina, Vedic culture is important. So when we give away anything, it should be in good condition and useful to others. And when things become old and useless, and if you give those things, that becomes inferior thinking or wrong thinking. Concern to about his father was a good thing, and he was a good human being as well as a very obedient and dutiful son. So overall thinking process of Nachiketa is told in this shloka. Acting upon it comes in the next mantra, Hari Om.
Thank you very much, madam, for a nice description of what is happening and to assess the character of our hero, Nachiketa. The last verse for today will be by Nita. Nita, please.
हरि ओम् स उवाच पितरं तत कस्मै मां दास्यसि द्वितीयं तृतीयं त्वं होवाच मृत्यवे त्वा ददामिति. This literally translates to seeing his father give away the old miserable cows, Nachiketa says to his father, "To whom will you give me as dakshina?" He asks for the second time, the third time, and then his father replies, "I give you to Lord Yama, to the Lord of Death." Next slide. Why Vajashrava was giving the old useless cows is not mentioned in the Upanishad. But Swamiji says we can kind of conclude what happens. We only know that the cows were not useful. The Vajashrava was doing this yaga very willfully. He did not want to, if he did not want to give his wealth away, why would he do the yaga? Swami Paramathananji says, the very fact that Vajashrava was performing this yaga willfully, it must be that all the good cows must have been given away, and now these were the last cows left, and he was giving them away too. Nachiketas must be believing that since he too belonged to his father as part of the Vishwajit Yagna, he must be given away too as Dakshina. This is Nachiketa's feeling. He thinks he's better and more able-bodied than the miserable cows, and therefore he must be given before these cows. Therefore he asks his father, "Whom are you giving me to?" But the father has not planned to give his son away and does not reply to the son. He ignores him. But then Nachiketas repeats it the second time and the third time. And on being asked the third time, the father, Vajashrava, says, "I give you to death." We do this out of anger. And that's like the worst thing we can do because children remember that. And that's all there is to this verse. Nachiketas is asking, who are you giving me to? And the father replies, "I give you to death." Next slide. So as the story builds up, we will recognize that Nachiketas is a highly evolved sadhaka. He easily qualifies as a very deserving Vedantic student. The Upanishad does not deal with the topic of sadhana chatushtaya systematically and separately, but rather the qualities of the student and the teacher are strewn all over the story. The story goes on till the second Valli, 17th verse. We will recognize that Nachiketas belongs to a very Vedic traditional family. He is already exposed to Vedic traditions and mantras. He has Shraddha in the efficacy of these rituals. He knows the importance of following the rules and the regulations when we are doing a ritual for Sakama, as a Sakama karma. He doubts his father's sankalpa will be fulfilled because of the conditions of the cows his father is giving away. and it and will it construe as a dakshina, so, and he is afraid that he may go to naraka loka. The previous Ashaji mentioned Ananda Loka. It's not Ananda Loka, it's Ananda Loka. And he may get the lower lokas instead of the Swarga Loka. Now, Nachiketa is a very obedient, we can see Nachiketa is a very obedient child, dutiful son, and he wants the well-being of his father. He wants to save his father. Imagine all this, he is doing it at 8 to 9 years. Definitely Vairagya is there. Can we do this? We'll have to question. Nachiketas is a selfless boy and ready to sacrifice to his father's desires. He is confident but humble, and therefore he asks his father, knowing that he can be of better service than those miserable cows. In the next class, we will see more of these qualities, the Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatna of Nachiketas unfold as we hear the story go further. Hari Om.
Thank you very much, Neeta, and thanks to all the speakers for the nice presentation of the first few verses of the Kathopanishad. We have to identify with the hero Nachiketa. We need to be able to internalize the kind of qualities, because as we go along, Nachiketa is going to be subject to intense testing to see whether he really is a deserving student. Does he really want it? Now, if you want to get an example of Tivra Mumukshutvam, we have Tivra Mumukshutvam in the form of Nachiketa. I'm ready to give anything for what I want. I'm ready to give my life also. Now, Nachiketa is going in the last verse, as you will say, the father declares, I give you to death. Now, can we identify with that? All of us know for one thing, all of us have a date of birth which we know. All of us know that we have a date of death also, but we don't know. It's a human tendency to believe that, we block that area off and we don't want to address the fact that I'm going to die and all the people who are important for me are also perishable products with a date of expiry also. All through our classes on this, let this be in the background of our mind to know that I am a perishable product and all those who mean to me are also there for this time being. While I am here, can I make the most to be able to understand Brahma Vidya? As we said in the Shanti Pata, let me understand my true nature. That means my body-mind only becomes an instrument for me to interact while I am here. And therefore, the loss of my body-mind is of no significance whatsoever. Dear friends, we have a wonderful Upanishad to study, an Upanishad that can transform. We will be going very slowly, only about 5 verses per class. That will give us an opportunity to study this as deeply as possible so that the Brahma Vidya is internalized to all of us. Venkatesh, please.
Thank you, sir. And all speakers of the day for an excellent and interesting beginning. Thank you, friends, for your continued cooperation and deep involvement. We have already heard the first session of GIFT, the study of selected verses from Gita for Inner Freedom and Transformation class on Monday, the 6th of this month. We will see the next session on coming Monday, 13th November 23. Thank you once again. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Thank you.